Hey, yo.
Mhm.
What's good, everybody? What's going on, man? It's Stephen Cross the second. Qualified. Gail, I can't do this. What is going Why do you
Just in case it doesn't record, I know sometimes we've had some gems of podcasts.
you said you
Law.
would have a backup recording device? You wanted to make sure it
That's
was set.
funny.
We had some midnight runners, 2 hour filming sessions that were gone.
We did.
Highly educational.
No, truly, truly. As most of our podcasts are. You know what I'm saying? I digress. Here we are. This one is being recorded. And this is another episode of the Right Quality Podcast. Friends, co-hosts, everybody just introduce themselves so we can get to the topics at hand.
Oh, okay. Ashley Wright the first.
Ganger.
New shirt.
Crying. Y'all know who
Old
he is.
shirt, but new to the pod. Here we are.
Hey, that over under is moving as we speak. The line is jumping.
Yeah.
The line is jumping. I'm Josh Price, hosting the Price Check. Glad to be back.
Absolutely. And we are here. We are no longer in March, but it is still very much March Madness. Last episode, we talked about the early rounds and predicted kind of being at this point in time. Don't think we predicted too much correctly. Maybe 25%. But as March typically has it, a lot of madness, a lot of chaos, and we are now on the brink of the Final Four. But yeah, last time we talked, we hadn't seen the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight yet. So what are our reactions? Where do we stand after seeing some of that action from last weekend?
I love Dan Hurley. I want to fight for him. I want to go to battle. Oh my gosh. He had me ready to like run through the TV. His energy is just amazing. But that was a really good game. I felt like something crazy like that was going to happen, especially after that bad pass. I'm like, he's about to make this. And it went in, and I'm just like, this is what March is all about. I'll take being wrong if these are the moments that we can get.
That's super real. Gail, please. Thought.
You guys hear the sirens and the bells tolling outside of my house? Okay, we're fine. I have my March Madness analytics glasses on. Would like to say was feeling very chat GPT-ish on that fateful day. Sitting with also friend of the pod, John. Sitting with him and Sam Alioto, shouts out, friend of the pod. Watching the game, and about 11 minutes through, I was like, this feels like a Duke choke game. No reason why, no rhyme or reason, but I was like, once John mentioned that, like, why are they going like prevent offense and like stalling with the ball with like about that much time left? I'm like, yeah, I mean, 15-point lead. It's just a little bit of seesawing here, back and forth. Anything could happen. Then what? He misses that free throw at the line, dude, on UConn, and then they have to defend, and then they're not fouling. I'm like, oh, ball gets up to Caden Boozer. I'm like, that's game. Goes up, tip. I'm like, well, we've seen this story before.
Yeah.
Villanova-esque, that pitch back just to get that little extra load up in. Mullins cashed that. And then also play before, I was like, this feels like a Caravan 3 coming up.
You saw it. You saw the play.
I was like, they need one. He swoops down. I'm like, oh, that's a pin down. Top, high left wing. I'm like, it's not recorded. I'm not getting updates, but here we are. It was a collapse, to say the least. And I don't think I texted you guys, I was like, I don't think I've seen anything like that in my life. Teams were 124-0, up 15 at half in March Madness history. It was, I mean, we could say that he could have held it. No 10-second call. Shire's pointing up. It's like, if that pass goes through, it's game. He just has to not dribble at the trap and split it and not try and go over the top. He shouldn't feel bad at all. It's like, that's the play that's going to be replayed, but it's like they blew a 15-point lead. It's not like, it's going to be that's going to be replayed to hell. I feel bad for him. That interview after was So sad. But everything else about it was art. Seeing the Carlos Boozer close up of the oh shit. Pan over to UConn section, they just go ballistic. It's like that was cinema. Absolute cinema. It was
Very much.
No, man, absolute cinema. And at first, for me, the Saturday games for the Elite Eight were a little underwhelming. You had Illinois kind of handle business against Iowa, and definitely saw Arizona take care of business against, who they playing? They beat Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Purdue in the Elite Eight.
Purdue, yes. So take care of business against Purdue. And so Sunday we are kind of like needing that March Madness feel. And the UConn Duke game was like heroin in veins, man. It just
okay, the line is for you now.
Look, I'm just saying, I'm not saying
not
that's
wrong. He's not wrong. That was rock.
It was like cracking the 80s. It hit the streets and it really took off. So
changed the game, man.
Look, It was a crazy game. It was absolutely a Duke choke job. The still shot of John Shire's face is like burned into the back of my brain now because he has the absolute reaction of I just fucked up.
He looks like a sad SNL character, like going through like the range of like all bits of grief. He went through every moment right there.
Went through the full moment, and then of course Michigan blew the doors off of. Gosh, now I'm forgetting all these teams. Yes. So Michigan goes with a blowout too, but that UConn Duke game absolutely just 10 out of 10 for what you look for in March.
For it to happen to Duke again, I think the tough part is seeing Duke have so much talent and then have these opportunities in the tournament where it's like, I don't know if you can blame anybody per se, but it's just they cannot get over this hump of that like Elite Eight or even Final Four. Like they can't get to the mountaintop of the championship game, it seems, even with all the talent that they've had. So that game definitely provided, I think, the spark or the madness that we had probably been looking for in that weekend. I'm not surprised that all number ones didn't make it. I think between Michigan and Arizona, I think their brackets just, I won't say made it easy, but they also just played extremely well and didn't play down the competition. Duke definitely probably had one of the toughest roads. Like they had to go through St. John's. They would have had to go through, UConn. So they had a tougher road. And I think Illinois is just a surprise, kind of. I mean, even as a 3 seed, I don't know if anybody had them going to the Final Four per se, but what a weekend is shaping up to be.
Well, and I think you pointed out something at the end that's very critical with this Duke thing. This is what happens when you live and die by one and dones. When you live and die with 18 and 19-year-old kids, you're going to have moments like what happened to Caden Boozer. Caden Boozer can probably go on and have a hell of a career after this. Had a hell of a game, like you mentioned. But that one play for people is going to weigh so heavily on what they think of Caden Boozer as a player moving forward, because essentially the moment got too big and he did what he knew to do. Only difference was he's going up against dudes that literally practice things like trapping in the middle of the court at a time when you are not prepared to handle that. And so I think Duke, of course, is the major example of this, but you can look across the board right now. Michigan is a team that is not relying on freshmen. Arizona, yes, they have talented freshmen, but they could be a Final Four team with or without those dudes, I feel like. Yeah. Illinois, yes, their top guys are freshmen, but they have a roster full of guys that have gone through some of these, types of games. And UConn is a team that has won championships within the last 5 years. So you got these teams that have been through these battles a little bit, whereas a lot of those favorites have guys at the top of the roster that are uber talented. It can get you as far as an Elite Eight. Yeah. But when it comes to getting to a Final Four and ultimately cutting down the last net of the year and winning the championship, you need some dudes that's going to be able to think in critical moments. And sometimes 18 and 19-year-olds aren't going to do it.
Good point.
You have some heavy transfer portal teams in the Final Four now who has guys with experience. Like I'm thinking of Yaxel, I'm thinking of Elliot Cadeau. A lot of those guys that obviously didn't play for high-level programs, but it's like the mid-major all-stars basically. And then they're going up against these 18, 19-year-olds where obviously this is a pressure-filled situation. And I think Kaden could have just like even dribbled it out, right? Or something.
Take the foul.
Yeah, take the foul and go knock down some
You
free
up two?
throws.
You up?
It wasn't, yeah.
But see, also, it's like, continue before.
No, I was just saying there wasn't a need to be frantic and throw that ball up like that.
As we look forward to the Final Four, kind of before we get there, regardless of what UConn ends up doing, something I didn't realize, but I kind of understand the sentiment now. Would you all say, or would you all agree that UConn recently, maybe more so specifically for the men's program than the women's, because they've been historically good, but for the men's program, do you think they could be more recently considered a blue blood, or would you all agree with the fact that they wouldn't be considered the same era of blue blood as the Duke, Kansas is like, those kind of like storied programs in that sense? Because at first I thought about it as UConn has always been kind of a blue blood in my mind as I think about basketball programs, but to the point of, on the men's side at least, having that kind of like winning pedigree, if you will, that is relatively recent in comparison to the other blue bloods. But I was curious on y'all thoughts on that, or if y'all had ever kind of had that distinction or separation for UConn as a blue blood.
I just looked it up too. I saw a graphic on Front Office Sports, and a UConn team, whether men or women, has made the Final Four every year since 2008. And for the men, they've had 6 times where they've reached the Final Four since 2008. Like, I don't think it's a recent thing. I just think now we're looking at it as some sort of dominance because they were able to go back to back. And now the fashion in which they won this year, it's like, oh, and with a head coach like Dan Hurley, again, like this is stuff that the media eats up. So with them not having that same type of swagger before, may not have been as many eyes on it. But now in the era of, social media, we're talking, like we're seeing this, it might feel fresh, but to me, it's not.
That's fair. I don't know if people look at blue bloods like in an era sense, because to your point from like '08, like I don't even think that would be a question. But I think for some people, like Duke has been a blue blood, regardless of success, for real. They've been considered a blue blood like really since Coach K got there. The same with your Kansases and like some of those other like programs that have just always been seen as, historically a top tier program for basketball. But I don't know, UConn's just always been one of the premier programs for me. So even before '08, like I wouldn't have thought that they weren't, but a lot of people they weren't shocked that UConn won, but the conversation around them beating Duke then became, you might have to start looking at UConn as a blue blood now, which is where I kind of got to this point, because I'm like, I didn't realize seeing UConn recently made you see them as a blue blood, because I always thought they were there.
I've always looked at them that way, but I look at them from the frame of reference of like what the Big East used to be.
Fair.
And maybe that's just kind of old school basketball brain for me, but I've always, as long as I've watched college basketball, UConn has been relevant, and that's really the only litmus test that I can provide for you as far as who's a blue blood and who isn't. Because even thinking about a team like Kansas, when is KU's last national title at this point? Gotta be saying, before this recent stretch for UConn. So if we compare apples to apples, KU, North Carolina, Duke, those types of programs, UConn has been more successful than all of them from just have you won a national championship or not in the last decade or so. Yeah. They have just as much claim to that status as anybody else. So who am I to tell y'all that y'all not, the cream of the crop at this point? And I think kind of to a point that we were discussing last week at a different type of team, what a blue blood looks like now in the NIL era and the transfer portal era is going to also look a little bit different, right? So UConn has been the one team that has found a way to kind of weave that of being not only a team that can get your traditional players and develop them, but also combine that with transfer portal guys or maybe a high NIL earner here and there, that type of thing. So definitely got to give them the blue blood status, regardless of what would have happened against it.
Yeah, that's where I stand.
I thought I had to deal with the shade of blue. So I thought that UConn was too dark of a blue. But now hearing after more discussion and doing my own research, they have a pretty pure lineage according to the definition of what a blue blood is. They have a good cohort of guys and gals through their program in the last 2 decades, I think, that would classify them of having a lineage that is one to be desired if you were to go to that program. And I feel like that's where we're at. If this is the criteria, not by shades of blue. So that's what I got.
The shades of blue criteria is insane, and only you could pull that off.
But then Kentucky, that's lighter blue. I'm just think Arizona's not a blue blood. Like there's no red blue bloods.
You stupid dude.
Am I wrong?
No.
You're not wrong. Factually, you're not wrong.
I mean, the only one that we've discussed that technically has some red is Kansas, but they have blue as their primary color. So I'm with you when you're right, yeah.
That is all things college going on right now. We, of course, will be revisiting after these championships have been decided. As we segue into the professional ranks and look at the NBA, I feel like personally it is only right to kind of start with the biggest news of this week, or at least the biggest news kind of train or cycle that has begun this week, which is the fallout from comments made by Jaden Ivey, formerly a player of the Chicago Bulls, who was waived for conduct detrimental to the team, referencing these comments that were made. And I'm assuming most people who are listening or watching are familiar. For those that may not be, comments that are anti-LGBTQ, comments about religion, things of that nature. And from there, my really like biggest takeaway in my own 2 cents before I kind of pass it to y'all is I kind of, Josh, to your point about how a lot of things going on in the sports world reflects the world at large here. Mm-hmm. I think my biggest thing is that it ain't even that people are dumb enough. I don't think people are that dumb. I think people are just as ignorant in regard to what they want to believe and then what they are willing to promote and like push to others, ultimately to still be marketing something or still be ultimately trying to maybe not sell something, but like push certain things on to others, because people making his waving about something that it is absolutely not about is just borderline insane to me. And I think any person with common sense can understand that if you say something like that in any workplace, you're getting fired. There's no question about it, right? Like if you make any of those comments, you're going to get fired. So for me, that's where a lot of the fallout in the comments have been like, what are we really doing? But definitely want to get you all's thoughts on, if you have thoughts on the comments, so be it, but really more specifically, how this fallout has looked in the media since he's been waived.
I'm just tired of these situations being taken care of swiftly versus other situations that have come about related to maybe how women are treated by professional players in some aspects, or things of that nature. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. He literally has a teammate that was in the media for the absolute wrong reasons. Yet he still has a jersey with his name on the back, and he's still suiting up every night. Amen. That's not okay to me. So if you're going to act swiftly with these comments, I just ask that you take other comments just as serious, whether it be thorough investigations or whatever. I don't even think his teammate was suspended while they were investigating what came about. So that's all. That's it. I'm all about the inclusivity. Definitely make sure everyone feels welcomed. And even if you wanted to go the route of just educating him before releasing him, whatever the case may be. But my thing is, don't pick and choose the situations when it's convenient. That's all.
Yeah.
100% agree with Ashley on that sentiment, and also to take that just a tad bit further. To your point, Stephen, you can't be employed by somebody and make outlandish, outrageous, offensive, whatever type of way you want to describe his comments. You can't make those comments by or towards the folks that are directly promoting or directly supporting your profession. Plenty of folks in the LGBTQ community are basketball fans.
Mm-hmm.
There's a small section of those people that are probably Chicago Bulls fans.
Mm-hmm.
There's no world in which the Chicago Bulls were going to let you disrespect and offend their fans and not face any consequences for it. Just hard stop there. Also, number two, and this is not just a Jaden Ivey thing, and I don't even want to typically get into the soapbox, so I'll make it quick. But for the folks that try to use their faith as this all being reason for doing and saying the things that they do, why is it only the LGBT community that y'all look at it in sinful ways?
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Because there's plenty of dudes in the NBA that have been accused and or found guilty of harming women. There are currently multiple gambling investigations going on with your employer, the overall employer, the NBA. None of that was enough to cause this type of output, but Pride Night or Pride Month, in this case, in his words, was. I just find that hard to believe.
Also, to quickly add on to that, I'm pretty sure, almost positive, over half of NBA players are fornicating as well.
Child, look, they ain't ready for that conversation.
Multiple baby. I'm just saying, we not supposed to be judging.
That's gonna go above people's head.
No, we not supposed to be judging. The main point here is to all the things that have been said. Because actually, you make a great point as well. And the Bulls are in a tough spot because I could understand an argument for a player being waived for these comments and other players not being waived. But then to Josh's point, I think it's about the selectiveness, right? Like I'm also on the side of I don't think that Jaden Ivey was waived solely for those comments. As we start to learn more, we realize this was a pattern of behavior that had been happening. So the waiving just happened to come after that final domino, if you will. But all in all, there's a lot of things, and we've talked about this before. There's a lot of things that have went unaddressed in the NBA that need to be addressed, whether it's by suspension, whether it's by thorough investigation, and that should be done proactively versus reactively. But I think this is becoming an example of, and more so to Josh's point about this, the fact that we've had people come out the woodworks, people who I don't even feel like are fans of basketball or even knew who Jaden Ivey was before Monday, but are using this as a platform or as a way of trying to now promote religion. And another soapbox that we definitely don't have to get into, but this idea that using athletes as martyrs in this way or making them out to be when that's and some athletes are like doing it themselves, because I'm not saying that Jaden Ivey doesn't have his thoughts and have his reasons, logic, whatever the case may be. But for other people to then come into this world and take that and try to apply it to the outside world is, while it makes sense because the athlete is putting themselves in that position in a sense, it is still being stretched in the sense of like trying to make a point from somebody who has something completely else going on that needs to be, navigated with much more, care and grace from a standpoint of whatever he might be dealing with personally. But more importantly, overarchingly, you hate to see this in a young player, especially a player with this type of potential and talent. I mean, we're talking about he was a top 5 pick, right? And he was somebody who was blossoming in Detroit before his injury. There's also something maybe to mention there about when certain injuries happen and how for some players, not saying that the injury led to all of this, but when you have an injury that really derails your progress, just the different ways it can kind of lead to derailing a player's career, if you will. But I think that's the most kind of like disappointing aspect of it all, outside of the whole commentary of it, is seeing this player who has a lot of potential, who I feel like a lot of people thought could be contributing to winning and things of that nature. And when you look at where the Pistons are now, it's just kind of like, man, like it seems like he would be making a lot of sense, on this team right now. So you hate to see that as well. But yeah, disappointing development. I don't think the news cycle of it is going to get better anytime soon, especially if we continue to get more information. So hopefully it dies down, but has definitely been interesting to see over time. Yes, Miguel.
I was waiting to put my input in. This keeps happening, and it needs to stop. Talked to you guys about it already, but this big tent over here, they want to keep hiding behind, it's an attack on Christianity. Oh man, like we can't just say what we want anymore. You just can't openly hate on people. You can't.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
Any hatred or disdain for a group of people or judgment, isn't your whole thing no judgment? Isn't that God's decision? But let's even bring it back. Let's go on the gay tip. It's a mistranslation. It was talking about boy molesters, but we wanted to, do some revisionist history, and now we have this whole sect of religion that is meant to hate another person and tell them how wrong they are about living their lives, even though someone died for our sins, about how these people cannot be a part of our religion. Aren't we supposed to be open arms? If there was a Jesus that was crossing the border tomorrow, which there is, I'm sure, they would not let him in our country. These people are taking this religion that's supposed to be pure and righteous and just completely taking it and using it just to be like, oh, why can't I be homophobic? Why can't I be openly racist? Why can't I commit domestic acts of terrorism? Like, what is this for? It's not for anything other than to promote whatever political agenda that they're trying to promote at this point. And it's like, okay, if you want to say that the LGBTQ is taking over, then like, why every day am I hearing something about a certain other religion that is taking over? And then there's another conspiracy about these other sect of people that are, they're trying to take over our population. Maybe the world is just different. Maybe people just understand more. And maybe some stories that we've heard in an ancient text that, certain people didn't look like us were a part of writing. Maybe certain people were, and it's been rewritten that they don't look like us now too. Why? What are we doing? What are we doing? Just play basketball. It's not any other reason other than you said something that would maybe be against someone else's complete way of life. If someone came into the NBA and said, man, what's with all of these black people? He'd be out the league too. What do you mean? It's not truly that hard. It's a pretty simple concept to grasp. I don't know what we're missing. Like, it's not even a dribble moment. Brain
cells is what they're missing.
It's not even a shut up and dribble moment. Like, you can have like things to say about stuff, but like have something other than just, like this blanket of religion to hide behind. Because now it's like, okay, he has the most sold jersey in the NBA in the last whatever week.
Crazy.
It's like, okay, what person?
Chicago jersey is disgusting.
But we're in a society where it's like, all right, you go to a baseball game and call a little boy a slur, and now you have a GoFundMe with $1 million in it. It's not ever religious persecution, and I don't want to hear it's that, because you guys are mobilizing like you're running this place, which you are. So shut up, deal with being out of the NBA, collect your bag, and go grift like they all will do. And I'm not, if you see it, just please remember this little 2-minute section of a realization, awakening, because they're not doing anything for you other than, blanketing racism and homophobia in religion and trying to sell you this bomb that is disguised as purity. And what else can I say?
And the good book does say, before you point out the splinter in someone's eye, you take away the stake in your own. So
You hear me?
just leave the people with that. So that's another thing. Disclaimer, we're not against religion. That's not what we're saying. You just can't use religion to hide behind your antics. That's not okay. Don't put that on the Lord, because the Lord is inclusive of all people, as so you should be. So
Look,
Like you
It's
can't.
it's some dudes right now that's out here praising Jaden Ivey and saying that he's being censored for his political or religious beliefs. And meanwhile, they probably on the down low hiding their sexuality from their wives or something. So
I mean, we see it with Christy Noem's husband. It's
This-
the same group. It's the same group.
Last but not least, a conversation that probably isn't that much of a conversation, but I do think it's interesting to talk about in the realm of just how NBA discourse is nowadays, is this debate of some top tier shooting guards, right? So, Josh, I'm not sure if you've seen this floating around.
look, I've seen it. I'm, as a Kobe Bryant fan, the shooting guard conversation is one that I am very in tune with.
You're very locked in with.
So yeah, Pat Bear started this nonsense. I was locked in.
He surely.
Miguel, you're gonna burn your iris.
It's a Miguel thing to do. This is his ChatGPT Gil. But
I'm thinking in the future right now.
this is giving Bruno Mars, but I digress. The point is, we're talking D Wade Harden. This is the conversation we're having. Pat Bev did start this conversation, and of course, he would be the one to do so. And I think what started as
IDF legend.
lighthearted, turned into something way more because of D Wade's response, and then I think Pat Bev's double down that just made it more controversial than it needed to be. But setting the scene, a lot of people, I think most people, have D Wade as the third best shooting guard of all time. I do personally, behind Kobe at 2 and Mike at 1. Pat Bev's argument is that Harden is 3 and Wade is 4. I think that's what he was saying. Basically, that Harden is above Wade in the conversation. And his argument is the longevity and scoring and virtually stats. And that longevity overpowers, Wade's winning, essentially, because that is a huge part of Wade's resume. We could get into the weeds of this all day, but I think if we're talking about all time, right, you cannot take away winning from that conversation. And it is not that Harden has meaningless stats. I think the biggest weakness, or the biggest thing that he doesn't have on his resume, or that does show up, is his choking in those moments where winning matters. I don't think anybody takes away Harden's impact from a standpoint of what he's done for the game. His peak is one of the highest I think we've seen ever. But when you've had moments, you've had opportunities to get over that mountaintop, or if nothing else, to prove that you can just impact winning and you can get a team to a certain level, and you haven't done that. You've fell short multiple times. So that's where the separator is for me. If you want to talk about player for player, I think that's more about preference. That's personal opinion. And I think wherever you land, there isn't a wrong decision if we're just talking about player for player. But in that all-time conversation, I don't even know why this is a conversation. But that's my 2 cents on that. All time is all time. Like, that's a very specific conversation to be having.
And I could retweet that. I would retweet that, because I'm thinking about a time where, well, multiple times where, as you mentioned, James Harden has not shown up, whether it be defensively or offensively, in playoff situations. And there are times where, first of all, I'm not even about to get into this. They didn't change the whole county name for what Dwyane Wade was able to do. Okay, guys? Like, the man, come on now. Now I know what
strip club named after him yet.
Exactly. While his jersey was retired in a Houston strip club, and that's fine. He doesn't have a statue. He ain't gonna have the jersey. Well, he might have the jersey retirement with how they do jersey retirement nowadays, but it's not gonna hold the same weight as a Dwyane Wade jersey retirement, and it's Wade County. Wade County. You know how much people from Miami love Miami. They'll never let you deface the name of Miami and Dade County, but they did it for Dwyane, and they did it for good reason. I love James. I like what he was able to do in Houston, but when the moment mattered, he was not there. Simple.
Look, as the great philosopher Jalen Rose once said, Harden be out here shooting tour dates.
Yeah.
That he does.
If just go look, basketball reference is a free tool, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Basketball reference is a free tool. Free 99 on the internet. You got the best phone money can buy in your hand right now. You can go search basketball reference and you can pull up those box scores from the playoffs only, just playoffs. Because there's going to be some box scores in the regular season games for James Harden where you're going to look like, hey, y'all telling me this ain't one of them? Understand it. But just go to the playoffs. It's going to be a lot of 3 for 14s, 2 for 11s. The man was part of a team that shot 0 for 27 in the second half from three-point range against a Warriors team that they had a lead on.
Mm-hmm. That's not even a date. That's not even January 27th.
That's 27 rainy days in a row. Mm. Just rain. You are in the rainforest. You might as well live in Seattle instead of Houston. You was out there shooting. Y'all shot 27 threes and couldn't get one to go in. And you're the ringleader of that. Meanwhile, you just rewind the tapes back. Dwyane Wade, 2006, before he ever played with LeBron James, before he ever had a superstar teammate. Well, let me not be blasphemous. He had Shaq.
Tail end, not prime Shaq.
Exactly.
It was not prime Shaq, but it was still almost
diesel left in that.
A little more diesel left. He has some diesel.
Put some diesel left. About a gallon in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a relatively still in his prime Shaq, and he was the best player in the finals.
Yeah,
that's the dude y'all telling me James Harden is better than.
That's what they're telling you, James Harden better than Josh.
Look, I know for me, I give a lot of deference and respect to previous eras of the NBA. Not because I'm trying to be stuck in the past or anything like that, but I genuinely think there are parts of basketball history that you can point to and say the game was actually better at that time than what we're watching now.
Yes.
2006, you might not say the overall product was better, but you can put that Dwyane Wade finals performance against anybody.
If you drop 06 Wade in the league right now.
We're
talking about a Dwyane Wade that was not a real threat from three-point range at the time. And he was still averaging 35 points a game in the finals.
Off the same Euro step. The same one.
Fall down 8 times. Get up 9. People forget. I love this is like half Bruno Mars, half Blank Man from Miguel right now. And this is fantastic. Like 100 out of 10 right now. So let me show you what I'm doing right now. Right now I'm D Wade. I'm James Harden. The lights got too bright. This is the difference. This is the difference between a D Wade and a James Harden. Is that, first of all, let me do my Wemby. You know that there's defense as well, right? Do we not include defense? This is why a lot of times also I'm in my blasphemous era. I had D Wade as my 2 shooting guard of all time.
Yikes.
Let's just continue on past that fact.
Even then, that's not a crazy statement having watched Dwyane Wade.
I was big on Law and Order and CSI. I was big into court.
He's from Milwaukee.
Yeah, and also that. But reasons back in 06 had a moral compass. True, tried and true. Could not put that man to for good reason. But now, still, with that being said, I am also in my James Harden era. I am stealing his footwork. We cannot not say that this man hasn't had an incredible impact on the game. Mm-hmm. But that still doesn't mean he's the second best player of all time. Just because he's had an incredible impact on the game, his impact in the NBA was not as great as D-Wade's. His impact in college was not as great as D Wade's. We can take his career holistically. And he has never been a better winner than D Wade in any spot that he's been in.
True.
Let's talk about the defensive end. This man was the master of the chase down before Bron really became master of the chase down. As a shooting guard, correct me if I'm wrong, most blocks ever as a shooting guard.
Something like that.
I'm pretty sure that's accurate, yeah.
Like, he was a monster defensively. Like, if we talk about guys that don't run from matchups, D Wade was checking Kobe every time as a Christmas game.
Mm-hmm.
You're not seeing him check best player on the other side like that unless it's Giannis because he wants to guard him in the post and get a swipe down. But other than that, we're not even talking that he's on the same stratosphere as D Wade defensively. Offensively, still talking about a scoring champion in D Wade in an era where James Harden also had some scoring titles in his bags as well. But we're talking about a guy that almost never shot threes too. Mm-hmm. Outside of your lone off glass wing three whenever he hit his first couple jab and pulls. Where James Harden gave us the footwork bag, D Wade gave us the reckless abandon bag. Who was really driving at the rim at anybody like he was? That commercial made sense for who he was because he was falling down a lot and on the injury reserve a lot due to just how he played. I'm taking a player like D Wade over James Harden any day. Every time I'm replicating my career, I'm taking D Wade because there's a playoffs to be played. And
yes,
we had a playoff sinker and stinker. We had a playoff riser, and that was D Wade. We're talking about the finals in 20 with the first one that they lost with Bron, where Bron is a ghost.
Yeah,
Casper
always there.
Dwyane Wade was arguably the best player on the floor, not named Dirk.
He had to take a step back so that Bron can get to where he was now. It was Jay-Z and Ye, and then
I'm weak. That's a great comparison, though, in all honesty. But no, truly, because most people sleep on that. And shout out Christian. He's been on the pod before multiple times, and he's mentioned this. You talk about it specifically in the Miami era, but if you really want to look at that, like in terms of their careers, like Wade had found his form after that injury that kind of derailed the rise after the championship. Because if we remember watching the Redeem team, he had found his form by then, right? So like he could have came back and arguably been in the running to take over the league at that time as well. But that step back to allow Bron to become Bron and to get the accolades and accomplishments that now started his real trajectory of being the greatest or up there wherever you have him in the conversation. A selfless act by Wade, but I think it also just speaks to, like, we cannot forget, just because Wade allowed for Bron to have that launching pad, we cannot forget the league was fearing this man, like, after 06. Like, nobody wanted this problem. Like, nobody really wanted to deal with it. People have talked about it. Gilbert Arenas has talked about it. A lot of NBA players have talked about how, like, you didn't want problems with this man. He really was that and could have been that if not for giving way to LeBron being able to, help the narrative and everything. But all in all, I say there is really no debate, but if there is any confusion, these are two extremely great players. I would even go as far as saying these are two players that changed and revolutionized is strong, but they both were a part of like the evolution of the game of basketball in different ways. But to Miguel's points and to all of our points, the separators and the moments of distinction are there. Like, winning matters. Like, if you just like Harden's playing style because it's more modern and that's what you see kids emulating, so be it. That's cool. Like, Harden has created a new style of play for sure. But if we're just talking about things that contribute to winning, things that contribute to having a impactful career, I don't know what conversation we're having, because Wade has contributed in every facet of the game, but he's also contributed to winning in every aspect, whereas Harden just hasn't. For every great thing we can say about Harden, you probably got at least half of that number where it's like these are things that also derailed Harden from being seen in certain conversations or being seen in this certain stratosphere. So I think two things can be true, and I just don't think Harden being better than Wade by any scale and on any level in any conversation. That's just something that isn't, and I feel like that's where most people stand. But I don't know. Like even to Pat Bev's point, like I think Pat Bev just tries to give respect to players in their era and what it looks like, and I feel like that's valid because Harden's era was different than Wade's. But comparing them, I don't think is relevant because even the whole argument of playing better players to me is pointless and somewhat baseless. Because a career is a career, no matter how you spin it. And again, Wade just impacted winning better. He's a better winner. Like to me, take all the other things out of it. That's what it really boils down to.
I just don't, and I don't see the argument for playing better players when D Wade played in finals against Tim Duncan and Dirk Nowitzki. Like it's not like he. Look, I'll say some of my other comments because I don't want this to come across as me just truly bashing James Harden. James Harden's a great player.
Go.
And 06 was D Wade's third year. I don't think people are.
That's the other thing. Like,
come on,
I think as we get further away from it, because this conversation came up with Kobe recently too. We have to understand that for certain players, the trajectory is not always linear.
Yeah.
There are going to be peaks and valleys along the way. So Kobe and Dwyane Wade have this thing in common where they have such a high early.
It's a great point.
That people try to discredit the whole career. When in fact, they was just bad dudes in an early time frame and they knew how to adjust their game when they needed to. Yes, James Harden has put up some ungodly scoring numbers. Yes, he is also paired that with some crazy assist numbers. Yes, he's got some crazy footwork, some crazy highlights. But let's also not act like Dwyane Wade only played with LeBron James as a sidekick. Like, that's really what I think this comes down to. You got a lot of basketball fans also that just were not either alive or not of basketball watching like IQ to understand what they were seeing back in 2006, 2008, even when Dwyane Wade was an MVP candidate. Hell, the couple years before LeBron got there, Dwyane Wade was dragging that team to the playoffs. Like, you got so many of these examples where people did not watch that, but all they know is Harden putting up numbers against the Rockets and just getting beaten at the end by the Warriors, discrediting the fact that he had absolutely time and time again a chance to beat those Warriors teams, and it was him that came up short.
And on top of that, if we bring up career stats, it's like we don't take any injuries into account. You could still take Kawhi's career and look at his lack of career stats and still say that he's a top X player just on the fact that he's gotten there and he has been able to win.
That's a great pull, Gil. That's a great example. Probably the best example as well, because Kawhi earned his spot in those conversations, and the only thing you can argue is the what ifs of if he could have continued it had he not dealt with injuries. But from what we saw, we can't take away the run, right? Like we can't take away what we have seen from him. So those are great points. But Josh, you also made a great point, and I feel like we can wrap with this, but I advise everybody to watch tape. I think doing research is very important, right? I think doing your Googles, doing your homework is extremely important. And I feel like if you want to have holistic conversations, even if you want them to be segmented, because they always can be, but you still got to have all the facts. So when you are having the specific conversations, you can speak to that thing versus solely being stuck in what you saw and your era. But, everybody, they aren't devoted analysts, like we are. They don't breathe the rock.
To bring it back, they not tapped in the way we are, man.
They don't live, breathe, and diet like us.
Indeed. And nobody should sell it. And on that note, this has been another episode of the Wright Quallity Podcast. Josh, thank you again, good sir, for joining us. I mean, hey man, after the championship, the charm, I mean, 3 at this point, we gotta just round it out, man. Gotta just round it out.
Look, I'm somebody who is appreciative of trilogies, so why go 1 and 2 without finishing out with a 3? So again, just tell me when and where, and I'm here.
Makes sense. Makes sense. But again, like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you agree with, what you don't agree with. Except for that Jaden Ivey stuff. If y'all disagree, stay out the comments. We don't need none of that. We don't need none of that.
We don't.
But until then, and until next time, we'll catch y'all on the next episode, man.
This has been Withdrawal and Kick.